Welcome back. Right now, so we'll be talking about UI/UX design. Okay, so how do you become a UI/UX designer? What is UI/UX design? UI/UX design comprises of two stuffs. One is UI design, the second is UX design. You need to know the difference between a UX and a UI. So what is UX design? So UX means user experience design. And then what user experience design means is that is the process of planning the experience your customers has when they interact with a product. That is, if I am a user, I'm a customer of a particular company, I want to buy their products or I love their products so much, the experiences that I will have on their platform, how I navigate through their platform, how I navigate through their products, it is what UX design is all about. So it explains the experience the user has while they interact with a particular company's product. So UX design focuses on the interaction that a human user has with everyday products and services, which is what I just explained right now. So everything about the experience the user is facing in a product, it is as a result of the UX design aspect of the project. What is a UI design? So UI design is just the interface. UI, user interface design. So UI is just the interface of the design, the visual design, what you see, what the user see. Is different from the UX, where it is what the users are interacting with. But in UI, the difference is clear. It's just like okay, I go to a platform. Now, what I'm seeing on the platform, the pure graphics of what I'm seeing on a platform, the design that I'm seeing is the UI. That is the visual experience, that is the visual aspect of the project that a user can see and can feel. So UI design is user-centered approach to designing the aesthetics of a digital product. So what this means is that your colors, your UI interface design, the visual design, the layout, the typography, the font you use, everything that comprises how you design that particular page. So after the UI design, that is when users that come onto the platform be like, wow, I like this design. Then the user will now scroll through the platform that you have designed. Whatever it is that you have designed, the users can now go through them and navigate through them, okay, from one pages to another. Then the user now experience the UI. So in this case, this is why we merge UI UX design together, because a UI designer cannot do without a UX designer. So those are two different professions on its own. First thing about a project is a very good design that catches the attention of the user. You understand? So what are the difference between UI and UX? Now, like I said the other time, the look and the feel is the difference between UI and UX. When I'm looking at something, okay, for example, now this design that I'm doing, this PowerPoint presentation, I'm seeing a design, right? So this is what I see. I'm looking at it. So this is for example, let's say this is a UI. You understand? Now the experience will now be how I navigate through this design. But for example, like right now, I can't do anything on this design. All I see is just visual display of a design, right? So that is the UI. I cannot interact with this design. I cannot click on this design. I cannot do anything on this design. I cannot move on this design. So the feel and the experience the user has when they see a particular design is what we call UX design. So those are the two different, so that is the difference between the two. The UI is what you see, what you look at, and the UX is how you experience the design that you're seeing. So design versus prototyping. Yeah, so like I said, design is for the UI and then prototyping is for the UX. Now, what does prototyping mean? Prototyping means creating wireframe and textable prototypes that form the basics of a website or an app or services of the flow of users. What that means is that, okay, in UX design, prototyping means, okay, if I click on UX design, it takes me to another page. it takes me to a UX design full information about that page. If I click on UI design, it takes me to a page where I see UI design project. So the prototyping is going to be like an interaction aspect of your project, whereby the users, the customers can feel exactly whatsoever you design is leading to. That is the prototyping aspect. So prototyping is the difference between UI design and UX. And like I said, UI design is for design and UX design is for prototyping. High level and details. Yeah, so what we mean by high level is by, view of a product, ensuring the collective user flow is fully realized and consistent. Yeah, I am a user. I need to have a very great experience about your product. Like, come to your platform, I need to feel like, yes, I've come to a platform whereby I understand everything that is there. As a UI UX designer, you need to do something that the users are familiar with, that they are very comfortable with, that is easy for the users to navigate through. And then the details about them is going to be your UI design, which is going to be, okay, for example, there's a button. Now, the button is saying that click me, right? It's not entirely saying click me, but because it is a button, you know that user knows that, okay, this button I am supposed to click it to do something. You understand? It's different from a normal text that does not have a button. Now a button will be telling the user, okay, click me. Now how will the user know what to click? For example, now when you are doing a registration in a platform and you see register, that is the details, because your UI design is telling the user to register. And after the user click on register, the next thing that happens after registration is the high level expectation from the user. Oh, the user be like, okay, now I've pressed the register button. All I need now is what? For me to get registered on the platform. The interaction on how those goes, how that happened is as a result of the UX design. So these are the difference between UI UX, UI and UX design. You need to understand these two very well so that you will not be mixing a UI design with a UX design. So example of a good UI and bad UI. How do you know that this UI is good and this UI is bad? And remember, what do we mean by UI? UI is user interface design. So let's quickly look at it. Let's quickly look at an app. Okay, so as a UI designer, you are expected to design something that is very cool, that is very eye-catchy. Like, okay, for example, now if you are a newbie, you'll be looking at what is wrong with this design and what is okay with this design. Now, if I am a user, if I come to a platform, you are confusing me by saying blue, 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 all these things. You are confusing me because you are telling me that all these things are doing the same thing, right? You're telling me that this and this and this, they are doing the same functionality, because me, I see login, I see sign up. I don't really like, it's not giving me a very good impression about your design. So I click on, I register, I log in, and this is entirely bad. So this is an example of a bad UI. Now, a good UI should have a login with a catchy that will catch the attention of the user. Like, okay, when I finish registration, the next thing that I want to do is log in, and that login must be visual. I must see it. Understand? It must be something that will catch my attention. And I click on login. So sign up. Majorly, what we do in this kind of scenario is to apply something called over, right? When you over around this, it gives you something nice. You understand, to make sure that this sign up is bold and that a user can see it, stuff like that. So you can see that there are three levels to this, and forget password is different from this. So if you are a UI designer, if you want to design a login page, go with this idea. This is the best user experience ever. Any app that you see, this is how it all goes. And if you give me something like this, I will definitely not accept it, because this is exactly what will make me feel alive when I'm using your platform. So let's look at the button. The button idea is, okay, you give me two deletes. Normally, if you want to delete something, the representation is red. When you approve something, registration successful, they are green. And then when something is bad, it's red. It's always red when it is bad. You understand? So as a UI designer, you gave me these two buttons in your registration, or maybe in your page, or maybe when the user wants to delete an item, you now give me these two buttons. Because I want to understand, because you're telling me this and this are representing the same thing, whereas they are not representing the same thing. One is saying you should delete, one is telling you not to do that again. Now, as a UI UX designer, you need to differentiate between a delete button and a cancel button. This way, you can tell your user that, okay, oh, this delete with a red button is telling you that what you want to do is dangerous, which means, and then as a good UI designer, I would even recommend in this kind of scenario, you can hit delete and then tell your user to confirm. Are you sure you want to delete this particular item? That is a very good user experience, because sometimes a user can click on delete button and just delete the file automatically. And but if you're a good UI UX designer, you know how user experience works, you've done a lot of researches before you do your design, you will know that when you click on delete, user appreciates when they see information about what they want to do, like they may change their mind. Oh, this is not what I want to delete. Wow, understand? Click on delete. Are you sure you want to delete this item? Then they can press yes, or they can press no, and then or they can cancel. You understand? So this kind of option is very, 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 very good, and it makes design very, very okay, and the user experience to be very great. So, and then as a UI UX designer, you need to know what a wireframe is. This is very, very, very important because it plays a crucial role in your structural design. For example, you want to design a whole website, or you want to design an app for a project, and then all of a sudden you are just designing without you having a particular pattern. You don't have a structure. You don't have an arrangement. You don't have somewhere that you have actually positioned your idea. Oh my God, this is how my design is going to be. Just go there and design like that. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, because wireframes plays crucial role connecting the user experience with user interface. Because as a UI UX designer, you need to understand what the user needs. And when you understand what the user needs, when you do your research well, you need to draft it out. Okay, if I am a user, put yourself in a user position. We have different type of user research. There are a lot of ways in which you can do your researches for your project. Now, the wireframe comes in an aspect whereby before you actually design a particular project, you need to do a wireframe of your project. Sketch your project, like you can use paper sketch, you can use high level prototype, you can use there are a lot of software you can use out there that you can for your drawing and stuff like that. And then you can use pencil to like draw your idea. Okay, this is home page. This is how I want my home page to look. For example, now this is an app. This is an image. There is going to be a topic under the image. Okay, you know that this is definitely something that the user will be interested in. Look at your layout. This is my home button and stuff like that. You're like, okay. When user click on this text, okay, this is what they say. Oh, all right. This all tutor section. Okay, this is how it's going to look like. So all of these things is going to give you idea, like it's going to give you value of what you're trying to design. And if you look at it and you see that there's something wrong with it, you can easily correct it, rather than when you go out there on the design, on the main design, using your Adobe XD, or using your Figma to design stuff, and then you now started doing a lot of mistakes. So that is why wireframe is very important. You need to organize the structure of your project. You need to know which section, how is it going to be like, what is the most experienced aspect of users journey, what do users really want, how do they navigate through a platform, their pain point and stuff like that. You need to gather all those details together and then start your wireframes. And then after that, you will now have a very good UI design. Now look at this, you see how this is looking, like wow, okay, this is very nice. Before you now take it to product, before you now take it to advanced production, then you start applying your colors and stuff like that. So this is the best approach before you can actually start any of your UI design. Make sure you have a wireframe. Make sure you have your sketch. Make sure you have the structure. Make sure you have your arrangement very, very accurate. So what are the tools you need to know as a UI UX designer, and what are the system requirements? To me, I will tell you that in my experience, or i3 is a good way to start. You know, this is for people that doesn't have much to start their career, to buy laptops and all. Quite 3 can actually help you. Yeah, using Figma, right? You can access Figma on the web, you understand? So, but Adobe XD requirement does not support Core i3. You need to have Core i5 system if you want to be using Adobe XD, Core i5 and above. That is the processor you need to get. And then you need to have a system of 4 gig RAM and above, 320 gig hard disk and above, and then your processor speed must be 2.0 GHz and above so that you have a very fast response to your design. This is going to help you a lot because you will have you enjoy what you're doing, and there will not be problem with what you're doing. Imagine you working on a system and then because of your requirement is not enough, your system always shut down every time. How do you want to become a professional UI UX designer or UI UX expert that way? So that way you need to know that this is the system requirement you need before you start UI UX design or become a UI UX designer. So what are the tools you need to know? The first thing is you need to know how to use Figma. Alternatively, if you don't know how to use Figma, you use Adobe XD. But as a UI UX designer, I must tell you, you need to know these two, Adobe XD and Figma. You need to know how to use these two very well because they play crucial role in the industrial development in UI UX design. So I will advise you to learn more about Adobe XD and and Figma. Then for your UI design, you can learn it's going to be a plus, like very plus for you to know how to use Adobe Photoshop because it's a requirement everywhere. And there's one again, CorelDRAW. Yeah, CorelDRAW 2021, 2022 latest version. They are very, very good as well. They are very, very good as well in UI design. They came with very interesting um features. So you can use Marvel, you can use Balsamic, you can use Sketch, you can use Adobe Illustrator. So let me mention it again. The ones you need to be versatile with to know how to use the most is Figma 1, Adobe XD, Photoshop, Sketch, Balsamic, Illustrator, Protopie. You need to know how to use all these tools, but majorly as a UI UX designer, you need to know how to use Adobe XD, Figma, Balsamic, and then Protopie. It's going to help you a lot. So thank you for your time. I really do hope you enjoy this explanation on how you can become a professional UI UX designer. So if you have any questions for me, do well to comment below, and then don't forget to subscribe on my channel. See you in our next class. In our next class, we'll be talking about how to use Adobe XD to start our design. So our next class is going to be on Adobe XD. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.